Well, hello everyone. Welcome to week 3 of Emerging Technologies. I hope you guys are doing well. This has been the most eventful class I have ever had in the history of teaching for Concordia. We've had a lot of things going on in these last couple of weeks. Every once in a while, the summer class gets this way with schedules. We had a couple people that weren't enrolled in until week 2. We had several people that had open house last week. We had several people that had an open house this week, including myself. We've had some health issues, and the prayer chain this morning was lovely for jobs and for health. And we also have a new baby in the class, so that's always fun too. But it has been quite eventful. Anyways, I just want to talk about a couple things. I'm not going to go too long in this week's video because I know you've got a lot going on and we're kind of trying to wind down from it. So let me just bring up a few things. First, I wanted to direct a message to Lindsay. Lindsay, I was really proud of you for trying Fishbowl, for trying something new. And one of the things that you have to realize, and as doing this emerging tech, I'm sure you've seen this, and many of you are experienced, and many of you are kind of midway through, and some of you are new to this, is the more you play with technology, the better you get at it. When I first started creating websites or designing websites for people, I really didn't have a lot of information about designing websites or coding, and then the more I played with it, the better I got. The other side of that is if you don't continue with these things, you forget. And so it's no different than we tell the kids to practice sports or practice music or practice writing. You have to continue trying new things. And as we become adults and working jobs and having families and animals and those things, we oftentimes put ourselves last about learning new things. And so you've got to make that time to sit down and try out technology and see how you feel about it. And you are hearing in the background, I think I told you before, we're babysitting an African gray. And Lucky is talking to me right now while I'm talking to you. So you might hear her saying some funny things in the background. So Lindsay, I was really proud of you for doing that, and I loved how you said, but I hated being in the presentation. Hang on, I'm going to close the door because she's being really noisy. She knows I'm home, so she wants me to come and get her. I totally understand that. You know, I grew up in a family of performers. We've all been performers, so I'm kind of used to doing this type of thing. However, when I first started as an online professor for Concordia, I remember watching my videos, like redoing my video like 10 times, you know, to get it right. So concerned about how I was going to look or how I was going to sound. And the fact of the matter is nobody cares about it as much as you do. It just feels strange because it's new. And this ties in with what Robert was talking about when he was talking about innovation disruptors. And he brought up the flipped classroom. And he had mentioned that there will soon be a time when you will find videos that will fit your style and your students and you know, using the flipped classroom. And I thought that was really interesting that he brought it up because it ties into another class that you guys will be taking later on. Flipped classroom, I use a lot now. And it had to do with my online technology at Concordia when I started teaching online. I was out one day and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a video of me teaching the lesson, and then the sub can just play that, and then that way the kids are getting the lesson from me. And so I went ahead and did this, and my substitute is a really good friend of mine, and he said, that was unbelievable. And I was like, what? And he goes, it was like you were in the room. He goes, I turned it on, and they heard your voice, and everybody just locked in, and he goes, they were nodding their heads as if you were with them. And so I do believe Robert's right, that you're always going to find videos that'll fit your student's style or their needs. However, Lindsay, I think it's really important that you make those videos with kids because they really light up when they believe that they are having this conversation with you. There's just something about it, you know, that keeps that connection that we always worry that we're going to lose if we have constant online instruction or technology, you know, that connection between teacher and student that we see in the live classroom. And it's kind of a way to keep it going, like I'm doing with you guys right now and talking to you, because I don't get to see you face to face. So something to think about. And I think the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be with it. Thomas, I really appreciated you bringing me back to my 70s childhood, from Fred Flintstone and Barney all the way through Star Trek. It was fabulous, and thank you for that. I thought that was really fun. And David, I loved your Star Wars tribute within yours as well. And Andrea and Catherine. Andrea, you talked about YouTube and just, learning it. And once again, just spend the time to take your time and know it. And Catherine, you had kind of had some problems with the sound breaking in and out. And that's something that I can help you with if we come across that again. So let me know. Sometimes it has to do with your system when you're working with certain systems, and there's ways to fix it. Even now, I updated my computer a while back, and there's compatibility issues with the photo booth and the new, the new update that your voice gets off in the photo booth now. And there's ways to fix it within the computer system. And you can also go into iMovies and then separate the audio and move it back and sync it up. So there's ways to mess with audio, and it can be frustrating. Any of my musicians out there that use Pro Tools, you know what we go through with things like that. So anyways, I will be talking to each one of you through my videos now that we've got the discussion boards going, but I wanted to bring up those tonight. The other thing that I wanted to tell you about was something in my own classroom that happened today that I thought you would think was interesting. Is somebody said, I'm not sure if it was Robert, I'm not sure who said this in the discussion board, I forgot to write it down, but they were talking about teaching students real world, what the real world's like. And one of the things that I've been working heavily on with my students this year is how to use technology for education. They're great at Instagramming, or, they don't have Facebook anymore, Snapchat, all of the things they do. But what I found is that they're really struggling with like digital textbooks, how to do notes online, the SBAC testing, how to annotate, how to navigate programs that way. They struggle with uploading, making copies on documents. They were getting Google Slides pretty well, but all of the things that they're expected to do in college, Prezis, emails, using YouTube, they were struggling with. And I worked all year to really get my 11th grade students college ready for the digital world, because they still were struggling with it. Even though these are technology savvy kids in a lot of way, with the educational stuff, they were really struggling. And I had a parent, and this was really interesting to me. I had a student who he owed me a paper since January. He had not submitted it to Turnitin.com, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with that. And if not, you can look that up. It's a great program for papers and being able to grade papers and check plagiarism and those types of things. However, his mom, who's an engineer, and his father, who's also an engineer, kept writing me the emails saying, he said he turned it in. He said he turned it in. And I kept showing her screenshots of the turned it in saying he didn't. And she kept getting frustrated and saying, well, he did the work, and, he shouldn't have to do online submissions. You should just accept hard copies. And I thought, is this an engineer saying this to me right now? This is odd. And she said, oh, one of his other teachers knew he couldn't do submissions, so he just accepts hard copies. And I had to write her back very kindly and just say I would be doing Kyle a great disservice if I did that. And it's not that hard copy work is not acceptable and that students shouldn't turn in hard copy work, but they have to learn digital. They have to learn submission. And we all know in this class that it's not even the future anymore. It is here. And it is what is expected. I mean, this class is proof of that. So, I just had a conversation with her, and then I had a conversation with him. But here's a person that I had shown how to do this for 4 months, and I had to sit down again today. And I watched him, first struggle with it, and then I helped him again. This is a smart kid, so it was interesting that he was struggling. So we just went back through the steps. Which brings me to the last thing that I want to talk to tonight, just about my observations and my thoughts. When we're doing emerging technology, a lot of times your first instinct is to come back to the professor and say, I don't know how to do this, or I'm confused about this, and rightfully so, because we're here to be able to help you. However, we always want you, and this goes for Professor Slater, is to teaching emergency technology too, but any of your any of your technology teachers. We want you to have that aha moment, and you all want your students to have it as well, and we want you to have it here in your online program. When I first started doing web design, as I told you, I didn't know everything, and sometimes I had to go to tutorials, and sometimes I had to look things up. And I would really try to work through it before I asked for help. Sometimes I had to ask for help. And that was just the way it was. But I can tell you, and I know you've all experienced this, that when I found something and I worked my way through that problem and I accomplished it, there is a feeling from that you will never get when somebody just shows you how to does it, tell you how to do it, hold your hand as you walk through it. So you want to remember that your professors are here to help. I'm here to help. But I'm always going to ask you to first try on your own before you come to me. Or I may give you a link to a tutorial to say, have you tried this? Or have you thought about trying this? Or have you added this to your file? Or this may be the problem. I will always give you a hint, but of course I want you to try it on your own first. Okay? Which brings me to the last thing, assignment 4. So Concordia Online, we've been working on updating the classes, Professor Slater and myself, Dr. Albright, Dr. Charlemagne, numerous others. We've been updating the online shells since last summer and making sure that, everything is good and fluid and interesting and fantastic assignments. And the class that you're in right now, Professor Slater and I are tweaking some things as we go. So somebody asked me this week if they could work ahead. That's fine now because week 4 is put into place the way we want it put into place for this time. But I will be doing some tweaks as I go. So if you do plan to work ahead in the next few weeks, just email me first and just say, I just want to touch base with you before I work ahead. I think we are good right now. We might make some tweaks to 7 or 8, but I think we're good right now. So just know that. For the next class that comes through, we definitely want to assign the technology book in week 1 and the Shelfari, which is now just Goodreads, assignment in week 1, and then tutorials for that 3D printer to give you a little bit more time for like week 2, week 3. I think that will be more fluid, and I'm sure you guys would probably agree. And a little bit more time for you to read the tech books, which I will talk about next time. You guys have made some really great picks, so I will talk about that next time. So the last thing I want to say about assignment 4 is we modified it. We've made it easier for you. I think when you read the directions, Professor Slater rewrote the directions today. We modified the assignment. We already converted it to Google Docs for you. We were finding some compatibility issues with the program that was up there with certain computers. So you do have the option of using the Google Sheet that we converted for you, but we've also made it so that you can download the Excel if you prefer that. You should not have any problems doing it. Remember, you're just filling out the observation section for your, overall thing. Don't worry about data storage or any of those types of things. Just go straight to the observation and fill out your information related to what we've asked you to do. If you have any questions, go ahead and contact me. And grades are updated. And for week 1 and week 2, I'll be doing grades for week 3 on Monday. Remember to have your primary work done by then. And if you need me for anything, please let me know. I'm kind of rambling here for a minute. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I want to say to you. So let me just double check. I'm just taking a little look-see through. And that's it. I will also be getting back to you guys on the notes that I ask you to send me. It's my way of being able to join into your conversations. So that's all. Have a wonderful night, and I look forward to talking to you again next week at the normal video time on Monday, and have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.